Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, it is time for another episode of Dean's Dialogue. I am your host, Dean Meadows. Dean's Dialogue is in association with the Daily Apologist. Hope you're all having a great day. As my fellow podcaster likes to say, my fellow podcaster being Jack Lipsy, as he likes to say, time for some shameless plugs. And probably the biggest shameless plug is if you're in the Charlotte, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, Lake Norman area from January 18th through the 20th, I will be at the Lake Norman Church of Christ doing a apologetics workshop / seminar. We're going to look at things like the existence of God, the reliability of the New Testament, and the case for the resurrection. And here's the deal that I'm willing to throw out for all of you who are interested in coming. The first 15 people there Friday night get a shirt. They'll get a Daily Apologist shirt. It's really cool. I wear mine often, probably too often, as my wife likes to tell me. So if you're there, one of the first 15 people there on Friday night, you're going to get a free shirt. So make sure that you're there Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday as well. It's going to be a great time. Hope to see you there. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your skeptical friends. I have no problem with skeptics being at the seminar or the workshop to ask questions and engage. By the way, that's what I'm here, and that's what we're here to do. So, on to the show. I promise we're not done with the reliability of the New Testament, but something every now and then just grinds my gears that I have to kind of get off my chest. As you saw probably in the last video, it was the misuse of the definition of faith. And each year during this time where Christians are getting ready to celebrate Christmas, we see a bunch of ads by Freedom from Religion. The secular alliances are all together, having a field day. And the number one bumper sticker you see around this time of year is this coexist bumper sticker that basically is saying that all religions are on par with each other. Now, if you haven't recognized it yet, we're in a post-Christian society. We're in a coexist society, meaning that, hey, all religions are on par with each other. No one religion has exclusive rights on being right. For instance, about a year ago, I did an interview with a longtime friend of mine, and for their identity security, I'll just name this person Bill. I did an interview with a longtime friend of mine named Bill, who I respect greatly. Bill's an awesome guy. But during Bill's time in college, he left Christianity, and based on our last conversation, he's a religious pluralist. His specific words were, he's religiously eclectic, meaning that he derives his spiritual ideas from a diverse range of sources. And one of the statements that he made was something that you've probably heard before on TV, that I've heard on TV, that you will probably encounter at some point in your life, where someone says, the religions of the world, don't they all teach practically the same core concepts? And so how do we, as people who seek to win souls and follow Christ, how do we navigate that kind of argument, right? Several years ago, probably 20, 30 years ago, during the Oprah Winfrey show, she was talking about her New Age stuff, promoting the religion of Oprah. Not that I have anything against her. She's a good philanthropist, great talk show host, can give a really good speech, spiritually has some issues. She was talking about the multiple ways to God, and this lady stands up and she goes, well, what about Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ is the only way to God. And Oprah says, what about Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ couldn't possibly be the only way to God. There are multiple paths that people can take to get to God. So Oprah, and along with Bill, their sentiment is widely popular in our society. And their sentiment is the basic premise behind the coexist movement. And with respect to Bill, with respect to Oprah and other people like them, the statement, don't they all basically teach the same core concepts, or don't they all basically teach the same thing, is sorely misguided. Even President Bush, 43, after 9/11, in seeking to maintain a good relationship with the Arab world and Muslims in the country, which he should have sought to do, to maintain those good relations, to ensure the people who were Muslim that were in this country that they weren't going to be persecuted. He made the statement, Christians and Muslims serve the same God. Is that true? If the Muslim God is unitary and the Christian God is a trinity, that's not the same God. But this kind of goes along with my sentiment. While there might be some commonalities among the world's religions, there are some fundamental and irreconcilable differences that divide them on many crucial issues. And some of those issues consist with things like the nature of God. Is God Unitarian or Trinitarian? Is it one God or multiple gods? Right? The source and focus of revelation. Is revelation an inward thing, or has revelation been given to people by God in the form of a holy book or texts? The human condition. Is sin just an illusion, or is sin something that's actually real? The nature of salvation. Is it a matter of repenting and putting your faith in Jesus? Or is it simply a matter of seeking nirvana? Or is it a matter of your thoughts, thinking reality into existence? The destiny of humankind. Is it nirvana? Is it Valhalla? Is it heaven? Is it hell? And so how can the religious pluralist decide which religious worldview has it right on these issues, or which one to follow regarding these issues, if on these very issues they're all supposed to be equal? I would contend that it's not possible. And so there was a guy in the late half of the 20th century, a philosopher of religion by the name of John Hick, who sought to try and reconcile this issue with the now famous elephant illustration, in which he says there's several blind men who were walking along a path, and they came upon an elephant that allowed them to touch and feel it. And so each blind man touched a different part of the elephant, and because they were blind, they could touch the elephant in a specific spot, but they couldn't envision the totality of the animal. Therefore, right, what does that mean? Therefore, like the blind men, each of us cannot envision God satisfactorily. We each merely only see a part of God, which in Hick's illustration is the elephant. But reducing the scenario to the lowest common denominator, Hick said that even though each of the blind men were blind, they were all touching a part of the elephant. So Hick's illustration sounds excellent on its surface, and I think people in the coexist movement would jump and shout and hoop and holler at that. However, religious pluralism cannot be reduced to the lowest common denominator. The fundamental issue in the illustration is that the lowest common denominator is that even though they couldn't envision the entire elephant, they're at least touching the elephant, which seems to indicate that there is some objective totality that they might not access, but they each get a part of, right? However, religious pluralism can't be reduced to the lowest common denominator because of these fundamental differences. And so it really, when you look at it, religious pluralism just, is, I think, is reduced to becoming incoherent in its totality. The other thing, that the sobering problem with Hick's illustration is that it handicaps all those who believe in God. He makes them blind and unable to grasp God satisfactorily. Now, what's interesting about this is that Hick says that everybody that tries to access God is blind. They can't see the totality of the beast. Yet Hick himself believed in God. And so that would make him a part of the blind group. Yet Hick does not elaborate on how he's able to see the totality of the elephant or God, but we're not. How does Hick know that in his assessment that he himself isn't blind? So it seems like Hick's illustration is a self-defeating illustration. But even outside of Hick's fault, right? Jesus made the claim to his disciples that those who had seen him had seen the Father, and that those who were to abide in him, he would abide in them. Jesus believed that he was God and indicates throughout his teachings that humans can know God in a satisfactory way, that they can know him. Now, if Hick's correct, then Jesus is wrong. If Hick's correct, then really what you could argue is that all religions are wrong, because none of them can see properly. It's not that they see bits and pieces of truth, it's that because they're all blind, they all can't see. The other thing about this is, and I'm sure the skeptics that are listening would probably agree with this point, doesn't Hick's illustration undercut God, and specifically his power? Think about it for a second. What he's saying is that God cannot communicate and reveal himself to where people can really objectively know him, know his will, and know the truth that is associated with God. And so that's the problem with religious pluralism. On top of everything else, what it does is it really undercuts the power and nature of God. Ultimately, though, I think religious pluralism, when investigated properly, ladies and gentlemen, really is an attempt to level the playing field among religions to suppress any one religion from claiming that we have objective truth. So while people of different religions can get along peacefully, I believe that I can sit down across the table from a Muslim, from a Jew, from a Hindu or Buddhist, and we can have a good time and we can be peaceful to each other. But the intellectual claims of the world's religions cannot coexist because of their fundamental core differences. And you and I need to be on the lookout for that, because this is something that your kids, your grandkids, maybe even a spouse might fall into. And so what we need to do, and this is what I'm going to encourage you to do, and I might do a series on this at a later date, is you need to go ahead and you need to study the differences between the world's religions. A great book to do that it's by Kenneth Samples. It's called God Among Sages, and it surveys the world religions and helps differentiate the claims of each world religion in comparison to Christianity. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you have a great day, a blessed day, and remember, equip yourself to engage culture.